Hello everyone, this is lecture 6 of Economic Issues in Public Administration. From this lecture, all the lectures about government failure. Government failure refers to why governments fail to achieve efficient provision of public goods and services. In this lecture, we'll cover general theory of government failure. And in the following lectures, we'll focus more on specific fields such as budgeting, or recruitment, or employment, or local governance. So why government fails to achieve efficiency when they provide public goods and services? First, disjunction between costs and revenues. No direct relationship between costs and revenues. People should pay taxes, and the government uses them to provide public goods. However, paying taxes is not voluntary. It's a requirement for citizens. So government cannot have profit incentive to provide goods efficiently. Related to the first reason of government failure, internalities and organizational goals can also cause inefficient provision of public goods and services. Private firms can know the performance of their goods and services. If consumers buy more, they can get more profits. This means that the performance of their goods and services are good. As I explained, however, provision of public goods and services does not aim to increase profits. So, without direct performance indicator profits, public agencies should set their own performance standards or goals. When public agencies set their own standards or goals for public goods and services, they face multiple perspectives from many stakeholders, including politicians, senior officials, technocrats, users, or other public agencies. As a consequence of such too many and various perspectives inside public agencies, they tend to have unclear performance indicator or goals, and then that might lead to inefficient provision of public goods and services. Third, derived externalities. This is not only about public goods and services, but also taxation, subsidization, and regulations. As I explained in market failure theory, a government might use taxation, subsidization, or regulation to correct externalities. However, government cannot know exactly how much negative externality cost is in the market. Also, it's quite difficult to know where the socially desired point or ideal equilibrium is. So, without knowing such socially desired point, government might tax too much, and it might lead to negative effect on firms which provide that private goods. As a worst scenario, that negative effect might lead to decline of such industries. Reguland identifies a cause of such side effects of government interventions. Government tends to intervene in the market in the short term. On the other hand, private firms continue to provide their goods for 10 or 20 years, or sometimes 100 years. So such short-term intervention just distorts market mechanism. Basically, government interventions always holds risks of side effects. We just talked about why governments fail to achieve efficiency in their public policy or public programs. However, there are many perspectives of term efficiency. I just listed here 3 types of efficiency according to Reguland's articles. First, X efficiency. X efficiency means minimizing inputs when firms produce a commodity. Here we assume that a commodity holds the same quality. Second, dynamic efficiency refers to capacity of firms to innovate and thereby lower their cost of production. So this notion of efficiency related to X efficiency. So these two are about cost efficiency. It should be distinguished from the third efficiency, allocative efficiency. We covered allocative efficiency in lecture 4. According to Wilfred Pareto, allocative efficiency is achieved under the situation where all the resources are used up by individuals according to their preferences. So in such a situation, people cannot increase their welfare without impairing others' welfare. However, a public administration scholar, V.O. Key, challenged that economic notion of efficiency. When considering an entire society, government cannot really know which goods and services can maximize people's welfare. So in terms of budget allocation, V.O. Key raised a question: on what basis shall it be decided to allocate X dollars to activity A instead of allocating them to activity B? In other words, we cannot have perfect criteria to say that we'd better invest $1 million for education rather than health. So government decision making is always messy because there is no clear answer about how to efficiently allocate limited resources. In sum, there are two main perspectives of efficiency, while we have many names of efficiency. First, X and dynamic efficiency. These are about cost efficiency, how to minimize costs through something. The second, allocated efficiency, how to allocate limited resources. Additionally, I'll talk about it later, but not only efficiency, but also social equity will be a very important criteria about how to allocate limited resources. So we've covered general perspectives about why government failed to achieve efficiency. Also, we identified two types of efficiency: cost efficiency and allocated efficiency. However, reasons why government failed to achieve efficiency would be different based on types of government interventions. We can classify government interventions into three big categories: public good provision, taxation and subsidy, and regulations. So we'll see which condition a type of government intervention failed to achieve efficiency. There can be many reasons why a type of government intervention failed. However, I just listed several conditions based on what we learned in the previous lectures. First, government provision of goods and services will be inefficient with monopoly. As I explained in lecture 4, monopoly power can make public agencies lazy because there is no threat of bankruptcy. Also, there is no need to respond to users' demand. Government provision will be inefficient when they provide goods or services which are already under a competition, especially among non-profit organizations. In the US, education was firstly provided by private institutions, and these institutions are non-profit organizations. A justification of public education will be to correct under-provision of education for low-income or marginalized people. If a region already has enough provision of education through non-profit organizations, government provision will not be necessary. The second type of government intervention is taxation and subsidy. Taxation and subsidy will be inefficient when bureaucrats decide which goods and services are taxed or subsidized according to their self-interest. So bureaucrats might make such decisions for their own fame, political philosophy, or income. We'll cover details in the next lecture. Also, taxation and subsidy will be inefficient when government cannot precisely capture the real situation of market. As I explained in the previous slide, governments might use taxation and subsidy to correct externalities. However, it's quite difficult for government to identify how much negative external cost is in the market. Thirdly, taxation and subsidy will be inefficient when people have many and various preferences. As I explained in public goods theory, it's quite difficult for government to reflect all the citizens' voice on the provision of goods. That is the same in taxation and subsidy. Some people might say the society needs to tax gas or steel production to reduce pollution, but people in that industry will be against that taxation. So taxation and subsidy will be inefficient when political system fails to reflect citizens' voices. The third type of government intervention is government regulation. Government regulation will be inefficient when the government cannot precisely capture a problematic situation of society. For instance, in the past, the US government prohibited all the trades of alcohol, liquors. For instance, in the past, US government prohibited all the trades regarding alcohol, liquors. They made such decision based on their calculation of cost and benefit. They believe that negative cost of alcohol is higher than benefits. However, many people in the US received benefits from drinking alcohol, and finally it led to a kind of rebellion. This means that government regulation failed to meet with citizens' demand. Finally, government regulation will be inefficient when politicians set regulation according to their self-interest. We'll explain that concept regulatory capture in the later slides. This is the end of this video. I've just explained possible reasons why government failed in 3 types of government interventions. And these reasoning are based on these 3 main perspectives of government failure. So in other words, these are just application of these 3 principles based on 3 types of government interventions. So we've run government failures from efficient perspectives. But in the next video, we'll learn another perspective, social equity.